At today's cotton prices, every Texas farmer is losing money before the first bale leaves the field. The state that once powered half the nation's supply now faces a gap no amount of efficiency can bridge. Production costs are up to 97 cents a pound, while market prices have collapsed to just 66 cents a pound. If the backbone of American cotton is buckling in West Texas, what chain reaction is the governor so desperate to stop? And how did it come to this? The numbers behind the Texas cotton prices leave no room for doubt. In 2025, the cost to produce a pound of cotton in West Texas ranges from 68 to 97 cents, depending on whether a farmer relies on dryland or irrigation. But the market sets the price, not the grower. In 2025, the prices collapsed to just 66 cents per pound. Even the most efficient operations face a break, even of 82 to 90 cents per pound, according to Texas A and M AgriLife budgets and local lenders. That means every pound harvested locks in loss, at least 20 to 24 cents below what it takes to stay afloat. The math is relentless. A decade ago, cotton prices hovered near 85 cents. Now they have fallen nearly 20 cents in less than a year. Adjusted for inflation, the value of a pound of cotton is lower than it was 60 years ago, even as the costs to grow it have soared. Since the mid-1960s, the price of farm chemicals has quadrupled and machinery expenses have jumped sixfold. A bag of seed that once cost $30 now approaches $400, and new equipment can run to $500,000 or more. No amount of efficiency can erase a 20-cent gap on every pound. For Texas cotton producers, the economic foundation has cracked. The numbers are clear. The cost of survival now outpaces the reward for growing the crop. Texas stands at the center of American cotton, responsible for more than 40% of the country's entire crop. Nowhere is this dominance more visible than the Lubbock region, often called the nation's largest cotton patch. In a typical year, these fields would yield around 3.7 million bales, supporting not only local economies, but the broader supply chain that stretches across the South and beyond. But in recent seasons, the numbers have collapsed. Recent USDA production tables show that West Texas managed just 1.3 to 1.5 million bales, less than half of what was once expected. The land itself is shrinking from cotton. 1 million fewer acres are planted in 2025 compared to the recent 3-year average. And that loss is not spread evenly across the country. It is concentrated here in the counties surrounding Lubbock, where cotton is more than a crop. It is the backbone of entire communities. A county extension agent who has spent decades working with growers across the High Plains describes the situation as unprecedented. He points to maps showing how the heart of America's cotton production has contracted, with vast stretches of farmland left fallow or converted to other uses. The math is not just a spreadsheet problem. It is visible in every empty field and every idle gin. As the region's share of national output grows smaller, the risk to the entire United States supply chain grows larger. The fate of American cotton now rests on a single region facing losses on a scale never seen before. Drought has rewritten the map of West Texas cotton. In 2022, nearly half the state's cotton crop, 49%, was abandoned in the fields and never harvested. The following years brought little relief, with abandonment rates of 33% and 34% in 2023 and 2024. The losses stretch far beyond the farm gate. Texas agriculture suffered $3.4 billion in damage in 2024 alone, and cotton accounted for $1.8 billion of that total. The numbers are not just abstract. According to NOAA and USDA data, 68% of Texas land is now classified as drought affected. In almost a third of the state, 29% faces conditions labeled as extreme drought. The impact is direct and devastating. 2/3 of all agricultural losses in Texas in 2024 were attributed to drought and relentless heat. These figures are not isolated blips. They represent a sustained pattern of weather-driven failure, with entire regions losing their capacity to produce cotton at any scale. The weather has become the single most powerful force shaping the fate of Texas cotton, leaving fields unpicked and the state's agricultural economy exposed to unprecedented risk. The collapse of Texas cotton ripples far beyond the fields. Since 2022, hundreds of John Deere layoffs have hit Midwest factories. But the shock is felt most acutely in Texas, where dealers watch expensive equipment collect dust and cash flows spiral. Rows of unsold tractors and combines now crowd the gravel lots of Texas dealerships. Machines that once moved quickly from shipment to farm now sit idle for months, each one tying up hundreds of thousands of dollars. One dealership manager in Lubbock, who asked not to be named, put it plainly: "We have equipment out here that has been sitting for 6 months or more. Normally, a new planter or combine would be gone in weeks. Now farmers are not buying. They are not even coming into Lubbock. The financial strain is real. Dealers rely on floor plan financing to stock inventory. That means they are paying interest on machines that are not selling. Every month that a piece of equipment sits unsold, the cost to carry it climbs." According to the Association of Equipment Manufacturers, tractor sales in the United States dropped 14% year over year in 2024. Combined sales fell even harder, down 18%. In Texas specifically, where cotton and grain operations drive demand for high-capacity equipment, the drop was steep. Dealers reported sales declines of 20 to 30% compared to the previous 3-year average. The reasons are straightforward. Farmers cannot afford new equipment when cotton is selling for 66 cents a pound and it costs 97 cents to grow it. A new cotton picker can run $500,000 or more. A high horsepower tractor easily tops $300,000. When you are losing money on every bale, those kinds of purchases are off the table. When farmers cannot buy equipment, the effects move upstream. John Deere notified 238 workers across the Midwest in August 2025 that their jobs would be ending. 115 layoffs at Harvester Works in East Moline, Illinois, 52 at the seeding and cylinder facility in Moline, Illinois, 71 at the Waterloo Foundry in Iowa. These were not the first cuts. Nearly 2,600 operations workers across 6 sites received pink slips in less than 2 years. Deere's management described the move as aligning capacity with demand. They called it proactive inventory management, adjusting output to match what farmers and dealers were actually ordering. In public statements, executives pointed to a struggling agricultural economy, lower crop prices, high input costs, and uncertainty in trade markets. But for those on the factory floor, the impact was immediate. A former Waterloo Foundry worker, one of the 71 let go, described the mood as grim. "We knew orders were down," he said, "but nobody thought it would hit this hard or this fast. Some folks here have been building these machines for decades. It feels like the ground just dropped out from under us." The chain reaction is clear. Drought destroys cotton yields. Low prices make every bale a loss. Farmers stop buying equipment. Dealers stop ordering from factories. Workers lose jobs in the Midwest. And the infrastructure that supports agriculture, the dealerships, the gins, the grain elevators, starts to crack under the pressure. Governor Greg Abbott's office has been scrambling to address the crisis. In February 2025, the governor announced a series of emergency measures aimed at keeping cotton farmers afloat. The proposals include expanded access to low-interest disaster loans, temporary relief from property taxes on agricultural land, and calls for federal intervention to address what Abbott described as a market failure threatening national security. In a press conference at the state capitol, Abbott was uncharacteristically emotional. "This is not just about one crop or one region," he said. "This is about the future of rural Texas. We are watching entire communities face extinction because the math no longer works for the people who feed and clothe this country." The governor's office released data showing that 23 counties in West Texas are now classified as economically distressed, with unemployment rates climbing and local tax revenues falling. Small towns that depend on cotton-related commerce, from equipment dealers to cotton gins to trucking companies, are seeing businesses close and populations shrink. Abbott pointed to Lamesa, a town of 8,000 in Dawson County, where 3 businesses closed in the last 6 months, and the school district is projecting enrollment declines for the 3rd straight year. He pointed to Levelland, where the local gin announced it would not operate in 2025 due to insufficient cotton production. He pointed to Plainview, where a John Deere dealership laid off 12 employees and cut service hours. "These are not statistics," Abbott said. "These are families. These are communities. And if we do not act now, we are going to lose them." The governor's proposals face an uphill battle in the state legislature. Conservative lawmakers, traditionally opposed to government intervention in markets, are divided on whether direct aid to farmers is appropriate. Some argue that market forces should determine which operations survive. Others warn that the scale of the crisis demands action beyond what individual farmers or even private markets can provide. One state representative from Lubbock, speaking on background, described the political dilemma. "Everyone agrees this is a disaster," he said. The question is whether the state should be writing checks to keep farms in business when the economics say they should not be. It is a tough call, especially when you are talking about hundreds of millions of dollars in potential aid. The federal government has so far offered limited relief. The USDA's existing disaster programs provide some assistance, but the payments are tied to historical yields and do not come close to covering the losses farmers are experiencing. Abbott has called on Congress to pass emergency legislation specifically targeting the cotton crisis. But as of mid-February 2025, no such bill has been introduced. Meanwhile, the clock is ticking, and farmers are making decisions now about whether to put seed in the ground. Every conversation with lenders, every look at the futures market, every calculation of input costs versus expected returns points to the same conclusion. Cotton is a losing proposition. One farmer near La Mesa, who has been growing cotton for 38 years, described his situation this way. "I've run the numbers every way I can think of. There is no scenario where I make money on cotton this year. None. So the question is, do I plant it anyway and hope something changes? Or do I walk away and try something else? And if everyone walks away, what happens to this whole region?" That question is at the heart of the governor's concern. If enough farmers decide cotton is not worth the risk, the entire infrastructure that supports West Texas agriculture could collapse. Cotton gins that operate on thin margins need a minimum volume to stay in business. Equipment dealers need customers. Seed and chemical suppliers need buyers. Trucking companies need loads to haul. Once that infrastructure disappears, it does not come back easily. A gin that closes does not reopen when prices improve 2 years later. A dealership that goes under does not magically return. The next generation of farmers who decide to leave do not come back. And the land, once it stops producing cotton, often gets converted to uses that are harder to reverse. This is what keeps Abbott up at night, according to sources close to the governor's office. It is not just about this year or next year. It is about whether West Texas will still be growing cotton a decade from now. And if it is not, what happens to the 40% of American cotton production that depends on these fields? The governor's emotional response at the press conference caught some observers off guard. Abbott is known for his controlled, measured public appearances. But when asked directly about the human cost of the crisis, his voice cracked. "I've talked to farmers who are third, fourth generation on the same land," he said. "They are looking at losing everything their families built, and they are asking me what I am going to do about it." That is a hard conversation to have when you know the tools at your disposal might not be enough. The political pressure on Abbott is mounting from multiple directions. Rural Republicans, traditionally his strongest supporters, are demanding aggressive state intervention. Agricultural groups are pushing for immediate financial relief. Business leaders are warning that the economic ripple effects will spread far beyond farming communities. And fiscal conservatives are insisting that any aid package be temporary and targeted, not an open-ended subsidy. Abbott's proposed relief package, estimated at $250 million, would provide direct payments to cotton farmers based on acreage and documented losses. The payments would be structured as one-time emergency aid, not ongoing support. The plan also includes tax relief for agricultural land, estimated to cost counties an additional $75 million in foregone revenue, which the state would backfill. But even if the legislature approves the package, the money will not change the underlying economics. Farmers would still be losing money on every pound of cotton they produce. The relief would buy them time, perhaps one more season, but it would not fix the price collapse, or the drought, or the cost structure that makes cotton unprofitable. Some farmers are already making the shift. Acreage that once grew cotton is being converted to other crops, livestock grazing, or left fallow. In some cases, land is being sold out of agriculture entirely, purchased by solar developers or wind energy companies looking for open space. Once that transition happens, it is difficult and expensive to convert the land back to row crop production. The governor's office is also exploring longer-term solutions. These include investments in water infrastructure to reduce drought vulnerability, research into drought-resistant cotton varieties, and trade negotiations to open new markets for American cotton. But all of these initiatives take years to implement, and farmers are making decisions right now about the 2025 season. Abbott has also called on the textile industry to commit to purchasing American-grown cotton at prices that reflect the cost of production. In meetings with industry executives, the governor has argued that domestic cotton production is a strategic asset and that allowing it to collapse in favor of cheaper imports from countries like India and China poses long-term risks to national security and supply chain resilience. The response from textile manufacturers has been mixed. Some have expressed willingness to explore premium pricing for American cotton, but only if consumers will pay more for finished goods. Others have pointed out that global competition makes it difficult to absorb higher cotton costs without losing market share to foreign producers. The economics of the textile industry, like agriculture, are driven by thin margins and intense price competition. So here is where things stand. Texas cotton farmers are losing money on every bale. Production has dropped by half. Equipment dealers are sitting on unsold inventory. Factory workers in the Midwest are losing jobs. Small towns across West Texas are facing economic collapse. And the governor is scrambling to find a solution that does not exist yet. The question now is whether this is a temporary crisis that will resolve when prices rebound and weather improves, or whether it represents a fundamental shift in American agriculture. Some analysts believe cotton production will eventually stabilize at a lower level, with fewer but larger operations surviving by achieving economies of scale. Others predict that much of West Texas will transition away from cotton permanently, with the crop concentrated in regions with better water access and lower production costs. For the farmers living through this crisis, the abstract debates about market forces and long-term trends offer little comfort. They are making decisions today about whether to plant, whether to borrow, whether to hold on for one more year, or walk away from farming altogether. And every one of those decisions, multiplied across thousands of operations, will determine the future of Texas cotton and the communities that depend on it. One farmer near Levelland summed it up this way: "The governor can propose all the aid he wants, and I appreciate that he's trying. But no amount of state money is going to change the fact that cotton does not pencil out anymore. Until that changes, until the economics make sense again, we are just delaying the inevitable." That is the hard truth at the center of this crisis. The governor's emotional response, the proposed aid packages, the calls for federal intervention. All of it reflects a desperate attempt to hold together an agricultural system that is coming apart under the weight of forces no single state can control. Commodity prices are set by global markets. Weather patterns are driven by climate systems. Input costs are determined by international supply chains. And the economic pressures squeezing Texas cotton farmers are the same pressures affecting agriculture around the world. So what does this mean for you? If you are farming in Texas right now, you already know the answer. You are living this story every day. The decisions you make about what to plant, whether to borrow, whether to keep farming, those are not just personal choices. They are part of a larger transformation that will reshape rural Texas for generations. Here is what I want to know. Are you seeing the governor's proposed relief as a real solution, or just buying time? Are you making changes to your operation because of the cotton crisis? And what do you think happens to West Texas if cotton goes away? Drop a comment and let me know what you are seeing on your end. If this video helped you understand what is really at stake in this crisis, hit that subscribe button. We will keep tracking this story as it develops. Thanks for watching.